Can you chat?
Always. Howdy.
Hiya.
How you doing?
Fine.
I was exhausted this morning.
Really?
Like, beyond.
Why?
I don't know. I do know I had a very busy weekend, but like, I could not get out of bed. And then I remembered that it was Monday, and I was like, oh, I can sleep a little. Because like when I have events on the weekends, I don't usually work Monday mornings. But when I thought that I had to get my body out of bed, I was like, I can't. It was pure exhaustion.
And so what did you do?
Stayed in bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't have something to get out of bed for?
No, because when I have an event like on Saturday, I take the morning off on Mondays. So I didn't start working till like 11. Your child's birthday party really leveled me.
Me as well.
Here's the thing. We had so much fun all being together, but we got rained out of the pavilion, as I knew was going to happen.
Let me tell the story.
Okay.
So there's a park that we had his first birthday party at, and it's a lovely park. It's a public space.
It's a beautiful splash pad. That was hard for me to say for the children.
Beautiful slash lad.
Literally. Like, am I okay?
And it has a big pavilion with like a bunch of tables at it and a baseball field and a splash pad and also a playground and bathrooms. So like, what more could you ask for in a birthday party experience? And we had it there last year, and I was like, yeah, let's just do it there again. Like, he's 2, so it's not like he can say what he does or doesn't want.
Like, sometimes just a straw wrapper is entertaining. So.
Yes. So we had a theme. We were like, let's do it at the park. And earlier in the day, you had called me to say like, hey, what's our rain plan? And I was like, the rain plan is, and I kind of took that to mean like if it starts raining while we're there, because I looked at the radar and it didn't say that it was supposed to rain. It was like a 25% chance all day, which in the summer is kind of common because it's just humid and there could be rain. And I was like, if it starts to rain, then there's a pavilion. Like, people sit under the pavilion until it stops raining. Like, normally.
So from my perspective, I had looked and it said 39% chance of rain. So I said, hey, what's our rain plan? Thinking like it is going to rain. And you were like, oh, if it rains, we'll just be under the pavilion. So in my mind, asked and answered. This is the rain plan.
Okay. So normally if it's going to rain for like an extended period of time, that's like on the radar. You can see that coming. You know, the green and yellow and red is like moving your way. And that was not there. It was just kind of like a steady, there might be rain today. So I was like, yeah, I mean, if it starts to rain, people can sit under the pavilion until it's not raining anymore. You did not convey like, it looks like there might be a storm later. And my radar was not saying that there might be a storm later, and neither was anyone else's, including NASCAR, who was in the city yesterday and talked about pushing till later, but was like, we should miss the rain. Spoiler alert, they didn't.
Which is so funny because last year NASCAR got like demolished via rain. So like NASCAR, take a hint. But
yeah, leave NASCAR.
Here's what I'll say. You are always 99% more tuned into the weather. So I was like, if you're not concerned, I'm not concerned.
I'm tuned into the weather in the sense that like when it says there's going to be a thunderstorm, like 100% chance, I know, and you don't know anything about the weather.
Correct.
That's me being tuned in.
Correct.
So there's a 100% chance that it's already raining.
There's a 100. No. So what happened was Tyler came into me yesterday and he was like, hey, because I was like literally laying on the couch being a rotting tomato. And he came in and he was like, hey, it's really dark outside. And I just looked and it looks like it's going to rain. So that's when I called you. But I was like, you already know it's going to rain because you said the rain plan is the pavilion. So as the rain became more and more imminent, I didn't want to annoy you by re-asking a question that you already knew. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. More concern. You don't usually love that.
You were doing that all day with other things, so
I
I'm
was
really confused.
but I only did it twice with the food, and then you didn't like it, so I was like, "We're going." We're going to the park. We get in the car. It is literally pouring.
Okay. So anyway, we're looking at the radar. It's like, it's not going to be anything. NASCAR is like, doesn't look like it's going to rain. Like,
I got to say, NASCAR's probably not run by the top meteorologists.
I feel like the people who actually have some sort of weather knowledge more than us.
Maybe. Okay.
So they
had their race.
Who?
NASCAR.
Oh, no. So you called and said that, and I was like, yeah, I think we'll be okay. Like, it's not looking like it's going to be storming for 1,000 years. And we were like, yeah, we should be good to go. It wasn't raining all day. Like, at the moment you called up until right before, an hour before. So obviously we were going to meet there just like an hour before to set up. We got there like maybe an hour and 20 minutes early, and we pull in and it's downpouring. Like actually downpouring. And I was like, well, this is curious. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, let's sit in the car for a minute so I can look at the radar. Like, if this is going to be happening, I'm not loading all this shit in. Luckily, my husband brought like a cart. So we were just going to like load up the cart.
Oh, but the cart came back to bite us later.
It did. Load up the cart, wheel it over to the gazebo, and then set up. But, it's pouring. And I'm like, all right, well, let's look for a break in the rain. We're looking at the radar. He's using one weather app. I'm using another weather app. I'm convinced all weather apps are
a scam.
Bullshit.
Okay.
It's like horoscopes. It's like, we think it's going to be this.
Well, the funny thing about weather apps is like everyone looks at them and like puts some sort of stock in them, but then the weather is nothing that the weather app says. And they're like, well, that's weather. Like, they don't have to be right. People aren't banking on them being right.
And then they were talking about it on the news last night, saying like, and we got some heavy rains and storms that weren't really predicted. A cell opened up right around, I don't even remember what area they said, like eastern Iowa or something. Like a fast moving cell that came through, and like from the hours of the party, like 3:30 to 6:15. Yeah, they were like, and it just kind of came through and dumped a bunch of rain on us and then moved out. And I was like,
we know.
And that's kind of why the weather, when it's like, when you live in a climate like this, like the weather's so unpredictable. It can say 25 or 30% chance of rain all day because a storm could develop, but normally it doesn't.
And thank you for listening to our segment on the weather.
Exactly. And yesterday it did. So long story short, we did get out of the car and bring stuff, and we were sitting under the gazebo being like, should we set up or should we not? The deciding factor truly was, it's probably like a 2-minute walk from the parking lot to the gazebo. And I was like, yes, people could get to the gazebo, but like,
it's a winding open path.
Yes, like I'm going to have people walking, like if they brought a gift or if they brought like food or something, they're going to be like carrying shit, not able to carry an umbrella, walking down this path. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not having people come here and get soaked. Coming to a birthday party, that's so rude. So
we agreed.
We did a quick little
pivot
brainstorm of places that we had been to that were indoors and might be like pretty dead on a Sunday at 4:00.
Thank God it was a Sunday. I think places would have been slammed on Saturdays.
Well, Saturday it was beautiful.
I understand, but I'm just saying, like, I was thinking last night, like, we got into this like really fun new brewery and it was like dead, and they were happy to have us, and we took over like half of it, and I was like, there's no way that would have happened on a Saturday. Yeah. I called the guy and I was like, can we come like with an obscene amount of people? And I think he thought I was going to like give him a date in the future. He was like, sure, what day? I go, today. And he goes,
in an hour.
And he goes, oh, what time? I go, like 40 minutes. He was like, oh, yeah, we're pretty quiet. So I guess.
So yeah, we pivoted and moved the party to an indoor space, and I think it worked out maybe just as well.
I think better, honestly.
Better. Oh.
I think better in the sense that like people felt like they could just hang out. Like I think
better if it were like on and off raining, maybe not as good if it were beautiful out. Like I wouldn't have it there again.
I actually was thinking you could have it there again.
Oh.
I mean, it was a weird place. I was second birthday party because like obviously it was
a brewery.
It was a brewery, but like everyone loved the different beers. The food was good, and they do have that cool patio on the side.
Yes, but you can't rent that.
Well, I was wondering if we inspired them, because when like we were packing this stuff up, the guy was like, this was great. Like, I'm glad it worked out for you guys. And I'm like, no, thank you. And I wanted to be like, have your manager call me. Like, this is a lot of revenue.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't an ideal venue for a birthday party. I was thinking like I could have done a cuter theme if I knew it was going to be a brewery, like Twos and Brews.
Oh, but that's weird. Like for a
Okay.
2-year-old.
I mean, come on.
Twos and
We
Brews.
have to have it at this brewery, and so
I actually think the
some
theme
people
pivoted.
will be two, and some people will
Be
have
Brews.
brews.
I actually thought it was cute. Your theme, thankfully, last year his birthday party was amazing. You went all out, like it was a baseball theme. That would have been weird to pivot into a brewery, but your theme was just too cool. You know what's cool? Breweries.
Breweries are cool.
Like, I felt like it pivoted well.
Yeah.
Like,
So
the color was very nondescript, black and yellow.
yeah, so we had to make a little change, and luckily we used our phone tree skills to
Move it along, and
reach
everyone
out to
showed up.
everyone, and we had, because we were at the pavilion early enough, we were able to like text people before they were arriving, so no one had to like drive to the park and then drive somewhere else.
Great work. So that's
Great work to you.
That's an update from your friendly meteorologist.
But yeah, it was a fun weekend. I can't believe he's a little 2-year-old.
You have a
Just
2-year-old toddler. He had fun.
toddler. He actually did have a lot of fun.
He loved it. He loved running around.
That's why you want to have it at a place like a park when they're that little, because like they just want to play.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you're gonna do it at like a
Yeah.
like a paint a penguin thing.
He doesn't want to paint a penguin.
He doesn't.
agree.
He wants to paint his eyeball.
No, literally.
And Friday we had a little birthday dinner for him on his actual birthday, and watched 10 minutes of the Biden
God.
interview with George Stephanopoulos. What is his name?
Stephanopoulos. He's a household name. Yeah. And Biden not recalling if he had watched the debate was where I tapped out. And that was the first question.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, like, again, his team, I think, probably prepped. His makeup looked better, which my mom commented
Your mom
on.
did say that. Yeah.
She was like, his makeup's looking better. And I was like, small wins. And George's like second question out of the gate was, did you rewatch the debate? And he said, I don't recall. And we were like, what the fuckity fuck?
Honestly, here's my question, though. It's like he doesn't have quick enough thought skills. No one knows if you did or didn't. So pick yes or no and commit.
Yeah.
Like, I
and
don't need the truth. Just
and
pick an
say,
answer.
just say like, yeah, I watched some of it. I didn't sit down and watch the whole thing, but I watched some of it, and I wasn't pleased with my performance. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate with that.
Like, just
That's all.
bullshit. Like,
That
we
is
don't
all.
need you to like be so truthful. Like, if you don't remember, lie.
It's not getting any better.
He is committed to the race. Did you see that though?
Yes, he posted something saying like, I'm in it to win it. And meanwhile, most Democrats are like calling for him to step aside. It's not most, but many.
But step aside to who? Like, we all need to get behind Joe. Like, I'm sorry to say, if he's not stepping down, it's over. We got to
know.
rally.
I agree. And I think the Democrats and the liberal media, I feel like everyone on the conservatives think that like the media is run by liberals.
They do.
Meanwhile, we're like, still talking about Biden's poor.
Or like, if they're running it, they're not doing a great job.
Yeah, Biden's poor debate performance. It's like, hello, if there's any liberals back there, let's cut the feed.
I saw, could you help us out here? I saw a really conservative Instagram post that was like, if you didn't know Biden was this sick, you need to diversify your media. Like, everyone knows. Like,
No, we
if you
know.
If you didn't know, you're just not paying attention.
Yeah,
Like,
if you've
they're, like,
watched anything ever.
they're acting like the like more liberal media is not talking about it. Everyone is talking about
Oh,
it.
I was using the Mayan calendar to figure out how old Biden was, and it was telling me that he was 2007.
I think my dog knows that Biden's not doing great. Like, that's how pervasive
The man
coverage
is 80 something. We know.
Yeah. No, I know. It was so upsetting.
I think that like the Democrats need to just change their strategy. Like, we don't need to keep harping on
his faults.
yes, or the debate. Like, stop talking about Biden in the debate and start talking about Biden being the better candidate for Democrats over Trump. And that is all.
I think we rebrand. Like, do you love your grandpa? Is your grandpa smart? He's lived a whole life. Guess what? This is America's grandpa. That is the new campaign.
This is America's grandpa.
Would you vote for America's creepy uncle or for their grandpa? You'd always vote for grandpa over the creepy uncle.
I agree.
That is it. That is the new strategy.
And if you don't like your grandpa, please do not weigh in on this poll.
We don't care. I don't care about that. But even if you don't like your grandpa, you probably really don't like your creepy uncle.
Do you love your grandpa? Vote for Joe.
Exactly.
So
call us. We'll run it.
I think that there's a lot of conservatives who are like, hey, Trump's actually like looking like he's more in line and like whatever. It's just, again, we've said it 1,000 times. Two bad options.
It is what it is. We got to commit. We can't harp on the past. We can only move forward.
And you know who else is moving forward?
Who? Oh, Lindsay Hubbard. I'm
right.
So happy for her. Can I tell you, I've never had an interest in Summer House.
Or watched.
No, I've started, but I keep like having trouble really moving forward. I am so irrationally happy for a woman that I have never had an interest in. Like, I know nothing about her and I'm thrilled.
I think it's smart that she's keeping her boyfriend significant other under wraps right now because like she's so in the spotlight. I'm sure he would be getting 1,000 messages from like Carl fans, and it's like, what a weird way to kick off this relationship. And she said like, I really want kids. She's older. How old is she?
I think she's 38. So something about around there.
I think she'd like frozen her eggs. For anyone who doesn't know, Lindsay Hubbard from Summer House, a reality show that's on Bravo. Her and her fiance Carl, we talked a little bit about, broke up, called off their engagement, canceled the wedding, etc.
Like a year ago,
yeah, big drama. And it just all played out on TV. But her and her boyfriend broke up, and then she got with a new person and announced on social media over the weekend that she is pregnant.
And we're so happy. She's 37, by the way. I just looked it up.
She's 37. And so for a lot of people who probably were like, oh, you know, I'm team Carl, I'm team Lindsay, whatever, like really engaged in the drama of it all, this was like a big story over the weekend.
And here's the thing. I know people always have a lot of hot takes when someone breaks up with someone and then gets into another relationship and either like gets engaged or gets married or gets pregnant really quickly, and they think that's like strange. I have the opposite approach. I actually think when you've been through something like that, you're more hyper focused on what you want. Like you've seen what you don't want, and sometimes that's more useful.
Agreed, but also she said that she's dated this person before.
I know, she said they went on dates prior, so like it's a rekindling.
She was like, we both like we're just not in the right place. Like I don't know if she said like he was traveling a bunch and she was like doing something for work. Like they had dated a little and then it fizzled out, and then like they reconnected after she broke up with Carl.
But like even if they didn't, I've seen a lot of, you know, like people love to live in the comment section and be trolls. And I fucking love to read it because I'm like, get a life. And I'm sorry, this is a sidebar. Whenever you click on those people, they have the funniest little captions. You know, it's like, NICU nurse, mom of 3. And they wrote like, you're a whore. And it's like, oh my God. Like,
holy shit,
Elizabeth. Why are you so angry?
Oh my gosh.
But there's been a lot of people being like, clearly Carl didn't mean anything to you. Like you did it all for the drama. Like, obviously you never loved him. It's like,
okay, Carl's aunt.
Like, okay, first of all, you don't know these people, so I'm not sure why you're so heated. Second of all, you can be really sad that something ends and then something even better comes to life and you're like, wow, I'm moving the fuck on. Both things can be true. I'm really, really sad that my fiance broke up with me on TV and blindsided me. Put a pin in that. I've started this relationship with someone I really love and we're going to have a baby. Great.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Totally.
People are roasting her like, obviously you did it for the ratings with Carl. It's like, no, that was horrible.
Right.
And this is great. So
Agreed.
mazel.
She was getting a lot of heat for using the announcement with a sponsored post. Did you see any of that?
I didn't, but I believe it because people love to hate.
Yeah. She used like Clear Blue to announce whatever. Like she was like so excited to whatever. I was able to detect my pregnancy early with #Clear Blue or whatever the fuck she said, which is like, get your money, honey.
I'm so not mad at it. Like,
Yeah.
I love it.
Wouldn't
but
you do the same thing?
Clear Blue, I think, has the biggest advertising budget of any fucking company. Every celebrity partners with Clear Blue.
Oh, they do?
It's hilarious. I'll send you a whole...
Do you think that then makes you, like, you're at the store looking to buy a pregnancy test and you go for Clear
Subliminally,
Blue?
for sure.
Oh, I don't.
You don't?
No.
Really?
I look at the tests.
I've never been pregnant, but I have taken a couple of pregnancy tests and I've only used Clear Blue. Probably because I'm such a mark for advertising. Like, if you need to advertise something, I will be your market.
I look at the tests and then I get the Target generic version because it says in the top left corner,
similar to Clear Blue.
Yeah, comparable to whatever.
But, like, it's only a couple different dollars, and like I just want the best.
It's not the best.
How do you know?
Because one is a name brand and one is
generic.
Target generic. That's probably made in the same factory.
No, but literally, talk about something that lives rent free in someone's mind. The amount I think about that all the time. Every time I see a Clear Blue ad, I'm like, okay, well, this is ad 488. Every celebrity that announces their pregnancy has connected with them. Here's my other question about it. How do they know? Like, does the celebrity have to reach out to them? Like, hi, I'm pregnant. Do you want a partnership?
I don't know. I think
their publicist reaches out.
I was going to say possibly her publicist. I don't know if Lindsay has a publicist because she was in PR, but I don't know. I still don't know if you would represent yourself.
I actually think she does. I think on a podcast I listened to, she talked about her publicist.
But her team, whoever, would reach out and say, hey, I have a client who
is
whatever,
pregnant.
If you're interested. And then companies that are interested, I think you disclose who they are, like, at the end.
Interesting. What sort of thing lives rent free in your mind? Like, what's your equivalent of my obsession with these pregnancy announcements?
Pop culture wise, or just generally speaking?
I mean, generally, but I'd prefer pop culture because it's more interesting to me.
You know, I think about Jennifer Lopez and Leah Remini not being friends anymore.
That is wild. What happened?
I don't know. And we saw a movie they did together in the theaters a few years ago.
Yeah.
That was so cute.
They were cute.
And they're like childhood friends?
No,
or
not
something?
childhood, but really long.
Like
they met in
long-
the industry, but like are from New York and like had a lot of crossover.
Like long-term
friends.
And they are no longer friends. And it happened around her getting back with Ben Affleck.
Well, I'm sorry to say, because I love Jennifer Lopez's art. I love her music and movies. The Wedding Planner, ironically, is one of my favorite films of all time.
Amazing film.
Something is wrong with her. You can't have this many divorces and this many failed friendships. And it's not everyone else, Jen.
I think, people have said she's a bit difficult.
There's trouble in paradise right now with Ben. Like,
yeah.
It's you. Sorry.
And I think Leah Remini is probably
pretty normal.
Super normal. Like, she left Scientology.
When you take the Scientology out of it.
Yeah, she's like, this is me, everybody. That, I would say, is something that I think about often.
That's a good one.
And I'd love to know what happened. Maybe Leah Remini could do a documentary on that. She already did the Scientology
I'm sure there
thing.
was an NDA.
Really?
I'm sure anyone who interacts with Jennifer Lopez has an NDA.
Do you think that if you're a celebrity and you have like a friendship falling out, your team or their team sends something that says like you cannot discuss this with the media, or like a breakup?
I'm sure. But you're kind of SOL if you didn't do it ahead of time. Here is my question. Here's an icebreaker. If I sent you an NDA to sign, let's say I rose to incredible fame. Is that funny? Would you be offended? / would you sign it?
If you sent me an NDA?
Like if I was like, hey, getting real famous, want to make sure we keep shit on lock. Will you sign this NDA?
Yeah, I totally would. And I wouldn't be offended.
I would shred it if you sent it to me.
Asshole.
Anywho's.
Something interesting I saw that I think you'll find interesting is that influencers in Illinois are going to have to pay their kids now for what they're calling, quote, sharenting, which is parents sharing their kids on.
I love it.
social media. It says a new Illinois law that aims to protect the children of influencers went into effect earlier this month. The update to the state's child labor law says that children under the age of 16 must be compensated if they are in 30% or more of their parents' paid content. That includes videos on social media platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. The earnings can be big. Some top influencers can rake in millions of dollars, and even smaller ones can earn up to $600 per post, according to the New York Times. Under the law, the money must go into a trust that the children can access once they turn 18.
I love it.
You do?
I do think Illinois is kind of a pointless state to do it. I don't think there's that many like influencers popping off in Illinois. But like, if we could get this to happen in California and Utah, home of the Mormon bloggers, I would be really for it.
Well, yeah, they're saying that Illinois is leading the way in fighting child exploitation, especially on family vlogging channels. But the Illinois law is the first of its kind. Other states like Washington, Maryland, and California could follow in its footsteps. And experts warn that the risks of sharenting outweigh the benefits. Incidents in recent years have also raised concerns about what really goes on behind the scenes of family vlogging channels, like all of the Ruby Frankie.
I was about to say that.
Yeah. Things that were hitting the media.
I never think it's a good idea. Like, if you want to be an influencer, be one. God bless. I love it. I want to hear about your FabFitFun boxes. Your kid's potty training journey, I don't think is for you to share. I can talk about your experience with potty training, but we don't physically need photos and video of your child.
Yeah, like if you want to be like, and I bought this hashtag
Pampers.
Pampers on Amazon, use my link or this code, and these are the best diapers. And when we started potty training, I used this game. Buy it at my link here. Like, okay, sure. If that's how you make your money, then like,
get your money, honey. Like we said,
go ahead. But like, I always think about when influencers have videos of their kids, like, you know, their kids doing like dances or like making, you know, cooking in the kitchen or whatever. Like, how many takes did that take? And does your kid want to do that? Like, is there a parent behind the camera being like, just one more, Jaden?
I'm sure.
And Jaden's like, Mom, I'm tired. And they're like, Jaden, we just need one more for the post.
Well, and I think beyond that,
and it's like,
I don't know the psychology of it, but I don't think it's like fostering an honest relationship, because your kid naturally is going to start to feel like, is this going to be in your post? Like, am I talking to you as my mom? Or like, and I don't think you want that. I think you want your kids to feel like, I'm a safe space. We can have a conversation. It's totally separate from my job.
Right.
So I would agree. I don't know why people are so dependent on their kids. If your whole influencing brand is built on the back of a 3-year-old, you're not that good at it.
Well, like, there's so many like mommy bloggers.
So many.
And a lot of them don't post like specifically videos of their kids. Like, they just post like what they do, meal prep, and like, you know, how they organize their shit. But like, a lot of them post what they do with their kids every day.
And again, if you want to post that, great. I just don't need your child in it. Like, if you want to post about your routine, your parenting tips, great. I just don't need Jaden in the pic. Like, I respect when people don't post their kids so much.
What about when they post with like an emoji over their face?
I like that.
I don't care one way or the other. Like, okay.
When you're like a celebrity. Like, I think it's fucking weird when just normal people don't post their kids. I'm like, who do you think is looking?
Yeah, really.
Like, it's like a self-important thing. Like,
right.
We don't post Sarah on the internet. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we don't know you or Sarah.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. But like, I like when celebrities don't, because it grosses me out. It was such a trend like in the early 2000s. I'm sure it still is. People would get these crazy deals to put their newborns on the cover of like People, and they'd have like exclusive deals.
Yeah.
And it was like, this isn't your new house. It's your baby.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, it's just weird to have like a contract for exclusivity with your baby pics.
I agree.
I say before I'm offered a contract.
No, really.
I'm like, I've actually changed my tune.
But yeah, I think for the people who like, that's their whole thing, it's like videos of them and their kids doing whatever.
Normal
or
things.
Like, especially like the whole family, you know, going on a trip and like whatever. Again, not everything if you're like a real influencer, I mean, I wouldn't know because I'm like the furthest thing from an influencer as someone who doesn't even have TikTok.
Refuses to go on TikTok.
But I've seen videos that you've shown me, and a lot of those, like, it can't just be one take. Like, that's not stuff that happens
when
on
I
the
try
fly.
and take a picture of your son, it's like 17 photos and they're candid and he won't sit still.
Yes.
Now I'm trying to get him to say like, yay, Cheerios.
Literally.
We'd be there all fucking day.
It makes sense that there'd be a law to protect that, especially from like, of course, like in an ideal world, you want what's best for your kids. And so like, I know that the pushback is like, the money does go to them. The money goes to us who pays for their food and their shelter and like bills, etc. Like the money is going to us who support them.
But there's a difference between the money going to the household and money being put aside. It's like what happened to the millions of kids and counting. I don't know what they ended up with, 19, 20, 21 kids, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
All those kids, or a lot of those kids, have come out now and said, like, we worked for no money. We were tricked into signing the continuation contracts. That's not fair. Yes, money was coming into the household, but you should be compensated for the work that you're doing. And to not compensate your kids basically teaches them to like be okay with being used and saying like, you can do a certain amount of things that produce. It's like you're hardwiring them to not demand fair compensation because they're quote working for you and they're not getting jack shit.
Yeah, I think again, like there's nothing wrong with it. It's not like they're saying and a portion of this has to go to, you know, charity. They're saying that this,
which would be insane,
which would just be asinine.
And they're not saying a huge portion. I think 30%.
No, it's not 30%. It's a portion of your earnings. Did it say what?
I thought it was 30%. Maybe
no, if they're must be compensated if they're in 30% or more of the content.
Okay, well that's even better.
Yeah, it doesn't say what that
portion
compensation is. Yes.
We're very influencer heavy on this call today, but did you see that Olivia Culpo is like going after that influencer gown-eyed girl who was really heavily critiquing her dress?
Gown-eyed girl?
She's like a content creator.
No, I missed that one.
Okay, so this girl made a whole video on TikTok, which would never cross your desk because of your version, but you've seen Olivia Culpo's dress, right?
Yes, you showed it to me.
Okay, so it's like a very conservative, long sleeve, high neck ball gown. Fine, great. And I told you, I told you that the way she was talking about it kind of gave me the ick. Like, Christian likes when I'm the most covered. He thinks I'm the most beautiful, whatever. So this girl basically went on her TikTok and was like, hey, it's not that original of a dress. It's not for me to say if she should or shouldn't have worn it, but like, there's a million dresses like it. Her whole thing was that she picked it because it was so original. It's not. It was a little creepy that she pushed this like conservative agenda, especially because she's not really like that in day-to-day life. And she picked a really controversial designer. Like Dolce & Gabbana has a history of saying really controversial things. That's it. Fine. Okay. Christian McCaffrey and Olivia Culpo were like calling this girl evil. Like they are the trolls in the comment section.
Dang, really?
Like, you know, you're unhappy, you're like evil, why would you first of all, you're putting your dress in every publication including Vogue. Everyone is commenting on it, and if you love your dress, what the fuck do you care?
Agreed.
And why are you going after this like normie? It's just a little like, I'm sick of her wedding and it's only been a week.
I think like there's always going to be someone who doesn't like something that you did. Like no, not even a dress, something that you did. Like there is always going to be somebody who doesn't like
anything.
There were haters of Gandhi.
Were there though?
I'm sure there were people who were like, that Gandhi on another hunger strike.
He is such a self-important piece of shit.
Totally.
Mother Teresa had like a girl group in high school who was like, God damn it, she's so annoying.
Yeah, like another thing with Mahatma.
It's always something with that bitch. No, seriously, like I kind of don't understand it from like a human perspective. Like, how did this even come to your desk? You're a celebrity. How did you even notice it? Like, you seem losery for even commenting on it.
Yeah, like, don't you have enough going on that like you just cannot even think about.
Like, I'm a normal person. If I found out that someone was trashing my wedding dress, I'd be like, wow, they're bored.
Yes.
And like, I fucking loved my dress.
Your dress or anything. Like if someone was like, oh, did you see Jana's engagement ring?
Yeah, I'd be like, cool. Good thing it's not yours.
Yeah.
I love mine.
Get fucked.
Get fucked. Like,
I could not care less.
I really think there's so much power and like grace in not giving a shit about what people say about you.
I've taught you that.
Have you? Have you? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Whatever. Well, thank you for the lesson.
I just feel like
I thrive on it.
You care about so much more than even me.
But I don't care about that much anymore.
No, you don't care about that much anymore. But like my MO is just like, I actually want to care about more things, but I don't.
I don't care about what people think about me at all. Now, I'm an asshole to myself in my own mind.
You care more about other people. You're an empath.
I'm an empath, exactly. I care more about other people being upset. But
if someone's upset, you are
distraught. If they're...
I actually heard a quote. I read a quote the other day that made me think of you.
What was it?
That describes empaths.
Oh my God, it's so difficult. We carry a great burden.
It's something from Buddhism.
Oh, am I Buddhist?
A Buddhist teaching that says empaths, if you're an empath, you don't push someone out of the way of a moving bus because they're them. You push them out of the way because they're you.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I'm tearing up right now. Yes.
Like empaths feel like, and that person could be me.
Yes.
Does that resonate with you?
Yes. Okay. Every like bit of pain that other people are feeling. I'm not even saying this because like I'm such a great person. Like I'm a medium person.
Right.
I can't take on too much because it's so heavy. Like if someone is telling me a sad story, I'm leveled.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that's happened to you, but I cannot take this on. Like I have to get away from you. but like,
I actually have to get away from you because I'm so wrecked.
I'm so distraught right now. Like this is not for me. But it reminds me of Gilmore Girls, and this is like such a like niche reference, but there's an episode of Gilmore Girls, give you a really quick background if you haven't watched it, which you're an idiot, you should. But Lorelai, her mom, is very judgmental of her. One of the characters' mother is extremely judgmental of her, and her mom comes to her house and is like critiquing everything, and Lorelai's like, whatever, moving on. And her mom's like, why are you not more affected? Like, why don't you care that I don't like this stuff? And Lorelai was like, I enjoy it. Like, if you don't like something about mine, like something I have, I'm like, wow, I've made the right choice. And I relish it.
Yes.
I feel that way. Like when someone doesn't like something, I'm like, oh, I've irked you.
Yeah.
Like something about me triggers you because it's an insecurity of yours.
Yeah. And you're
good
like,
luck.
oh, that's fascinating.
Good luck.
I'm just kind of like, oh, that's interesting that bothers you so much.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Are you good?
It seems like you're not.
It seems like you're not good.
Yeah, I thought that empath quote would speak to you. Like, when you think about, like, when I think about, not that I'm not an empath, I mean, I have empathy.
Sure.
I wouldn't say I'm an empath.
You're not a sociopath.
Just to be clear, I'm not a sociopath.
One more time, not.
But, like, when you think about like, oh, there's someone, it's like you put yourself in harm's way to push them out of the way. So you're not like, oh, I could just let this person die. That's a sociopath. But as an empath, you're like, it's a really busy road. Like you're on a highway and there's someone in the middle of it who looks like they're about to be hit by a car. Like most people would be like, I have to go push that person out of the way because like they're somebody's grandma or like mother or whatever. Like I need to like help
save them. Yeah.
And you're like, I need to go save that person because that person could be me.
Totally. I think it's honestly no joke why I get so emotionally exhausted by things. Like any sort of experience that is like a large scale experience, it's like too many people's emotions. I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Can you just like turn that off?
No.
Like, no. You
I would
cannot
love
turn
to.
off your empathness.
Like I start to cry when people are telling me a sad story, which is not comforting for them.
No, it's not.
It's not. You're like, I can say from experience.
It's just like, it doesn't even have to be a story about somebody that you know. Like, it could be something that you're like, oh, you know what? And I saw on the news and you're like, that's horrible.
eyes. Well,
Yeah.
it's hard being this amazing.
It's so true. Speaking of things that you might be able to empathize with,
Oh, interesting.
I have a daily dilemma for you.
Lay it on me.
So this person posted, and she's getting a lot of comments that are like really split. So I'm curious to hear what you might think.
Okay.
So she wrote, "Hi everyone, I'm really struggling. Longtime couple friend of my husband and I, 15 plus years, has been distancing themselves over the last few months. We used to hang out with them all the time. We have kids similar in age, and we'd get together as families often. They just told me and my husband that they don't want our kids hanging out anymore because our 5-year-olds, quote, don't get along well. This was a total shock to me, as I had never noticed anything out of the ordinary for them, just occasional fighting over a toy."
Because they're 5.
Because they're 5. They said they'd rather just hang out with my husband and I as adults going forward, but in what world do they think I would hang out with someone who says I'm welcome but my children aren't? They had to know that saying this was going to end our friendship. I said this to my husband, who didn't agree.
Oh, he didn't agree?
He was like, okay, like if they just want to hang out as adults, that's fine.
Oh,
Wait.
hell no.
I'm not usually one to jump to the internet with my problems, but I just feel so hurt by this. People saying anything about your kids is obviously mentally really rough. I've never had feelings like this before. I want to have a total fuck off attitude about this, but I just feel really hurt. What would you guys do? And so the comments are kind of split. A lot of people are saying like, this has happened to me, like a friend of mine from high school and my kid and her kid don't get along and we just like hang out without our kids. Someone posted like, that's fine, just get a babysitter when you guys want to hang out. And other people are like, that's so fucked up. So people are having like very severe reactions one way or the other.
I have so many thoughts.
Okay, lay them on me.
They're 5, so like we need to take what they're saying with a grain of salt. I think if these were 14-year-olds who are both going to high school and one kid is bullying the other, or like there's actual conflict happening, that's a different conversation. So that's number 1. 2, if this was handled differently and they were older, like rather than her having to like hunt these people down, which is kind of like what it sounds like, they were distancing themselves. If right out the gate she had come to her and been like, hey, do you notice that Kevin and Tommy don't really get along? Isn't this weird? We should work on it. Like, has Kevin said anything to you? Tommy comes home and complains, like from a productive place, again, because they're 5. Like that to me is what is so strange. So it's 2 separate things. And also, you're not really teaching your kid anything. Rather than saying to your kid, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to take your 5-year-old opinion and run with it. Saying like, well, what don't you like? Is he mean to you? Does he say mean things? Maybe we could go over and talk about it and see if we can all get along and play together, because I've loved hanging out with Kevin's mommy for 15 years and they're important to us. And so we need to try to all get along. Like, in what world do you end your friendship because 2 5-year-olds bicker? Obviously, she didn't mean that much to her.
No. You're taking it. This woman is not ending the friendship. She's saying like, the woman who's saying, can we just hang out as adults only, is saying like, hey,
we can be friends without our kids.
I know like we always get together as a group. We've been distancing ourselves over the past few months because I've like felt weird about it. I haven't really known what to do. I've talked to my kid about it. He's being very like a 5-year-old who you can't reason with.
Right.
And so for right now, can we just hang out as adults only?
But I think that even is weird because like she had to hunt her down. Like if she had been proactive and said like, hey, can we get dinner Friday night, just us? I think the boys are going through something weird. Like I'm sure it's just 5-year-old growing pains, but like I miss you and I want to get together. It's like she was okay distancing herself until the other mom was like, yo, where are you guys?
I just like, I don't feel like it's that big of a deal for her to be like, hey, my kid doesn't love hanging out with your kid, so like let's just hang out as adults.
I don't think that's what I'm saying. On its head, it's
like,
not
your kid doesn't have to like my kid.
Your kid doesn't have to like my kid, but they're 5. So like him not liking him is like, I actually have a friend right now who her close friend and the kids are not like, they're very little. They like bicker when they're together. And she said like, it's takes work. We have to watch them a little closer, but like, it's important to us that they spend time together. It's important to us that they learn how to like problem solve. And so we don't let them free play as much because like they start to like argue.
Rip each other's hair out.
Yeah, but we also want them to understand that like disagreements happen. We all are friends here and we can navigate that. I think you can totally say like, I want to spend some time with just you guys and give the kids a break. But to basically say like, hey, our kids don't get along, so I'm going to separate them is just not a productive path.
Well, I also think it depends how close you really are. Like in no world would my kids not get along with your kids.
Totally.
Like even if they were like, they're annoying, and I'd be like, and so are you.
And so are you.
Get your ass in the car.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you have to say to them, like sometimes in life, people we spend a lot of time with annoy us. Like
that's family.
That's family and that's friendships. Like my childhood best friend and I, Melanie, loved each other so much. And we used to bicker. And my grandma would be like, enough. Like she wasn't like calling up Melanie's parents being like, I don't think Jonna and Melanie should play together anymore.
Right.
She was like, Melanie and Jonna started fighting over a bouncy ball today. So I took away the ball and was like, we're not playing with this right now. And we moved on.
I think also just like the lack of, it really makes me question how close these two people are, because like in what world can you not call up your close friend unless you are like, you know, a big weirdo who is not that close to anybody? Like, can you not call up your close friend and be like, I don't know what's going on. My kid's saying this. I know we have plans to get together on Friday night. I'm going to bring him. And if he's being a dick, then we'll leave. Or like, I'll be like, okay, then you can go literally play by yourself while everyone plays together and does something really fun and has ice cream.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why is she not looking at her 5-year-old and being like, if you're upset with him, you need to communicate that and you guys need to work on it. This makes me think of when we were at your son's birthday party yesterday, our friends were telling us this story about how their 4-year-old really wanted to go over to their neighbor's house and ask the little girl there to play. And he was like, Mom, Dad, will you go ask? And they were like, no. And he was like, what? And they were like, you're old enough. We'll take you over there. You should knock on the door and ask if she can play. Took like 25 minutes. Like they were like, it would have been so much faster to just do it ourselves. But he has to learn how to do that. Like we have to push him to say it's time for you to learn how to do this. And it was baby steps and he didn't quite get there, but like,
and you're not they weren't sending him by himself. Like,
no,
we'll walk over there with you, but you want to ask her to play.
Yeah,
so you should.
I think it's not really teaching your kid any sort of
But
skills.
then what happens if like you get there and she's like, no, thank you.
That's life. That's how the cookie crumbles.
Reject-a-roo.
That's how, and she didn't. So it was a happy ending.
Right.
But
then it's like your kid turns to you and is like,
literally. But that is how the cookie crumbles.
Right.
But to turn to your 5-year-old and say like, okay, you don't like this kid. Now you will never have to see him again. Sorry. That's not how life is. He's going to have to see kids in his class, on his teams, even further when he gets into a job setting. Like, to just remove the thing you don't like is not really teaching him how to problem solve.
Yeah, like, okay, well, these people are really close friends of ours, and that's okay if you don't want to be really close friends with little
Kevin,
Tommy.
Sure.
But, you know, that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy or spend some time with him while we are all together.
And you can kind of compromise. Like, okay, you don't love hanging out with Tommy. We don't have to have Tommy over for a play date if we aren't all getting together. You can totally take some space from him. But when we all hang out together, he will be there. And you have to learn how to either compromise or play together in a way that doesn't kill each other.
But
Cheers.
I think I thought of this story because, like, if I called you and was like, hey, we're having people over for dinner, but don't bring Ruby, your dog, because there's gonna be like a lot of little kids and Ruby's so rambunctious, you'd be so offended.
Actually, less so because she's a dog. Like,
okay, but I'm saying like on a scale of kids, so much more. But even if it was Ruby, you'd be offended.
Yes and no. Like if your cousin's daughter does not love dogs, so let's say there actually have been times that your parents are hosting something, and we usually bring Ruby to your parents' house whenever we go, and they've been like, hey, FYI, don't bring Ruby because she's going to be there and she doesn't love dogs. Totally fine. But if when I have children, you called me and you were like, hey, we're having dinner tonight, could you get a sitter because I'm going to make this up, Lizzie doesn't like your kids, I'd be like, what? We will not be.
Well, yeah, that would be so fucked.
That's essentially what's happening. Like, we'll hang out with you, but not your asshole kid. How about fuck you?
I just think like, okay, but on the other side, this girl doesn't have to throw their whole friendship away. She should call the friend back and be like,
totally.
It is like a little offensive that you're like,
it's a little offensive.
Like, I'm taking it like this, and maybe that's not what you mean, but maybe we could just like, you know, take a break from the kids hanging out and then come back to it. What do you think about that? Like, what did your kids say? Like, this girl's just like, this is a friendship ender. Click.
She's for sure in the wrong, but clearly these people are not that great of communicators. Like, she should push back a little, but I think the initial interaction was probably pretty fucked. Like, you don't just call your friend out of the blue and be like, our kids don't like each other, so we don't think they should ever play together again. Like, what?
I just think, did your mom have friends whose kids you had to play with?
Yes.
Were you like, I don't want to go there ever?
Occasionally.
And she said,
we're going.
I agree.
My mom was a big, like, which I think is one of my mom's best attributes. Like, she was like a friends girl. Like, my mom always had a bunch of girlfriends, and like we all played together with their kids, and like some of them were great, some of them I still talk to this day, I'm really close to, and some of them it's like, hope they're well. Right. But like as a child, I was never allowed to bow out of a social gathering
or dictate the plan
or
in
dictate
any
the
way.
plan at
I
all.
had the opposite of say over
Yes.
what plan we had as a family. Like, my parents were like, and we're going to do this, and I was like, no.
My mom's friend Paula, who
secretly
was amazing, and she's passed away, so like so sad, but she was an amazing gal. She always had tons of like parties at her house. Like, it was the 90s, so like candle parties and pampered chef parties. Like, she just like loved having these jewelry parties, and so there'd be like 20 kids in the basement, and I was always kind of the outlier because they all had siblings. Like, I was the only child, so like every kid came in like a pair or a trio, and I was a solo bird. And so I would say to my mom, like, I don't like going. And she was like, okay, anyways, head downstairs. Like,
get going.
And I'd be like, I just want to stay up here with you. Like, I was more comfortable with the adults. And she was like, no
thanks.
No, thank you.
Go find a friend down there. There's 20 kids in the basement.
She'd be like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, bye.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was thinking of like, if this had been us when we were younger, like what our parents would have done. And it would have been like,
bye.
Sorry that you don't feel like playing with blah, 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 but that's the plan for today.
That's how the cookie crumbles, sister.
Yeah.
Brother.
Sister, brother. Are we in a monastery?
Yeah. Well, thank you for calling.
Thank you for confirming everything I've thought about you, which is
that I'm an angel.
Exactly.
That you're an angel.
All right, I'll call you later.
Call you later. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.